Hello, folks. Since we had so much technical difficulties and YouTube saved the last one show all with the audio unsynced with the video, uh, we're going to do a special live show because I got up this morning, Sunday morning here in Atlanta, and I got up this morning and I need to catch up on my terrain building. And this one here is going to be, of course, about 40K in Age of Sigmar, and I ain't building just one specific thing. I got a large amount of 40K terrain and such already, and but I got new specific things that I want to finish out, and I got a good bit of a Sigmar terrain over here with all these woods and stuff. And we're talking about scratch built terrain today. We're not talking about a Games Workshop terrain. Games Workshop terrain is nice, and it's basically these these woods and all that Games Workshop has come out with lately. They're good, but what we're talking about today is when we talk about scratch building terrain. I've been doing it a long time. Anyway, I have a set here of Sigmar Enchanted Forest or whatnot you might call it, and I had done a few months back, and it's a set that I had, and this one here has a cave in it with an entrance made from I believe this is a fireplace from a dollhouse shop. And I think I've said before on some other videos in them, don't be afraid to go in a dollhouse shop and look at the at some of the stuff. You got to, they don't really have the same type of scales that's popular. Is this 28 millimeter or 32 millimeter, whatever you want to call it. But there are some things that you can get. And then I think there's a Reaper Bones casket that I got up on top that you could put secrets down inside, I reckon. And I made it so, here's another thing about making terrain. And when you're making them for these 28 millimeter, they used to almost all run on them small 25 millimeter bases. And let me give you an example. All right, they used to all run on them 25 millimeter bases, like this one here. And back when I think this step was cut and all, you still can get a 32 up on there if you balance, but I'm not a big fan of okay, my model's there in the wobbly model syndrome rules or whatever. If you can't place the model there, you can't place him there. Like, in real life, I believe that I'd be agile enough to step on up and get on up on these rocks here. It wouldn't be too hard, but you can't let the miniatures do that during the game. So you got to think about when you're designing a piece or whatever of how it's going to play in the game. Now, my main focus for this set was the block line of sight in Sigmar games. Because if you play in Age of Sigmar, they pretty much, they don't emphasize terrain too much at all. They got their wood set, which is basically a model that is used by the Sylvaneth to attack people and whatnot. But you still can see through it, and and if everybody's in it, it gets covered. Other than that, man, there's just no use to them at all. They kind of dumb down the terrain rules really bad. Except, if it's big enough and blocks the line of sight, it blocks the line of sight. So you got to think about this. That was my main goal in these, just to block line of sight. I wasn't going to let models get up in there. I was going to say it's so magical or whatnot that you just are slain if you go up in there. But anyway, this one here, I was making it where you had little steps. And for one on a 25 millimeter base, he can step on up. And get within, in a scenario, you got to get within an inch of the casket to open it, or 3 inches, or whatever you say in a scenario. Now, for a 32 millimeter base, he's bigger than that. Now, if you got somebody on a 32 millimeter base, you know, they can still make it and hang off just a little bit, and he still can step up and get and be set pretty solidly if he has to end his movement. There is what I'm talking about. And he definitely can sit up on the top step. So nowadays you want to make everything, if you're making some kind of steps and things like that, and elevation changes, like, you know, of course, I guess you could on this one here, let models that could stand up here stand. You know, he can't stand there. He can't get to that. There's a little axe on there. I don't know if y'all can see. There's a little axe there. It could be in the scenario you had to recover that axe, you know, but it'd be pretty hard to just stand a guy up there. Especially if you got somebody, look, he ain't got nothing in the bottom. A lot of times I'll glue a nickel or something to the bottom of this to give it some weight. Just like over here on this 32 millimeter, you know, I went big time with a quarter, you know, added another 25 cents to this expensive Berserker. But it gives us some weight on the bottom, especially on a plastic model. If you come from playing with all metal models, you know, some people just they like that feel of the weight, and it does give them some weight and not to move, helps them not to fall over as easily. So, you know, a nickel fits really good down in these 25 millimeter bases, and a quarter fits down in here. And if you ain't got a quarter, you can throw a nickel or a hay penny, you know, or 6 pence, whatever they got over there. You know, put some kind of you know, 50 finning piece up in here, and so, or I don't know how many euros, that might get expensive. You probably could, I don't know how they do the coins, but anyway, you put a little quarter, something up in there, even cut up nails. I've done all kind of stuff just to get some weight on the bottom of the base. Anyway, today I'm going to finish off, or start to finish off, a piece. Here's a dang 40 millimeter base, and I put a big old washer in the bottom of him, you know, and even him could get up there because he's got a little bit of weight to his base. You know, he can sit up there and claim this thing here. But anyway, what I had was basically when I did this piece right here with the entrance and all, you know, I cut it up on the inside, and I put a dang light on it on the inside, and I line the inside of it with, you know, aluminum foil, you know, so it'd give you a kind of a glow, you know. And see, I have a little switch under there. I can just reach in there and turn it on and off, turn the light off. And I wanted another one because mainly because I had bought 2 of these, came in a pack. And also I was thinking, well, if you went in one cave, the next turn you could come out of the other cave on the other side of the board, you know, be one of the, almost like a teleportation type deal for you know, an Age of Sigmar game or a fantasy war game like that. And as you can see, you know, I want to make another one that's similar to this, that's kind of right, you know, that gets its elevation from, you know, exposed rocks. And I want to have a way to get up on top of it, a little kind of way. It doesn't have to be these stairs. We can, you know, we could build some kind of wooden ladder that takes you up to another kind of level to get it. But we, you know, we'll figure that when I'm cutting out the piece of styrofoam in there. So I want another one that has a cave, and then on top, and then to top it off, and also it's going to have, you know, be able to be lighted. You know, I have to drill the hole and all that. But on top, I want to have a ruin of a castle, part of a castle up on top. And already got part of it prepared because, you know, like a lot of things, you know, I've worked on. And not only are we going to be building on this, I work on a lot of projects at one time, just multitasking, because, you know, sometimes you're waiting on glue to dry and all this. I got this set over here for $40K, this coffee cans that I put together as a, you know, this will give you some scale, I guess, of how big it is and all. And there's the regular 40K barrel and all. And I put this together a little while back to to block line of sight, mainly, and, to look a little industrial. And I got a few, ruined buildings and all, and some linear terrain and such. I'm not going to get into building today to add on to that. Future videos are going to show how to build this linear terrains that you can stack up. These old dragon's teeth, that are you can use these to block stop vehicles and channel them and whatnot. The defender can use these. But anyway, we're going to show how to build all them in future videos and more type linear terrain, because everybody knows that Warhammer 40K, which is the main game that this whole show and stuff is about, has gone to a simplification of their terrain rules as well. It either blocks line of sight, or if the whole unit is within that terrain feature, then they get a +1 to their save. It's a cut. That's how the new cover works. There ain't no hard cover, soft cover, none of that, And if the whole unit ain't in there, man, they just ain't in there. So what they've mainly gone to is what you want to build for 40K is a kind of like a roughly 8 by 10, 8-inch by 10. About around about this size. This is a little bit long because I added in some places here that, for people to hide behind and such, and added this in, but it could be a little bit. So about 8 by 10 is about the size you want to have. Nowadays, to plop down a terrain feature. Now, you don't have to make it to where a bunch of units could get into it. You can make it purely impassable or partially impassable, like here. You got ladders on here where people can get up on top, and if they wanted. But mainly it's going to be hard to get a 10-man squad all up on this terrain feature unless some of them do go up on top, and things of that nature. But as far as this, something like this is good for a big 10-man squad to just roll up into, and because there's a lot of cover, and with the nowadays rules, even people in the middle here has cover. So some of these was built a good ways back, man. Some of these are 10 years old, these things. And we're going to get on now to what, like I said, I want another industrial type thing. And I've come up with some other parts in them in there in my workstation. This is just basically my gaming area, and I got a dang nice 6x4 table that I come up with, that I just made. Laminated. It's got a little bit of an edge. If you wanted to kick a daggum dice off the edge, it'll hold the mat on there because it's built, for a 6x4 battle mat to fit exactly down in there. And that's why it's a wood grain right now. But I'm gonna get on back in there to my work area, and we're gonna get started, because what I want to build is I'm gonna build two things at one time. I'm gonna start in on an industrial complex, another little set of them, and I'm also gonna set in on the mate to this one that'll finish off this little set of Sigmars. Now, I am showing y'all a bunch of big terrain features, but there's also ones that you can build that go, and like this one goes with that same set of woods and all for Sigmar, or you can use it separately, and it's just like a craggy, rock type thing, and it's almost like linear terrain, but people could get up on these steps if they really, really had to, and take a sip from that noxious fountain if they were so inclined or whatever by magic. But you can build little small things like this and take these techniques. And like I said, I'm not showing y'all how to build a certain thing right in this video. I'm just basically working on my stuff, what I'm working on. And if you have any questions or any of the techniques and tools that you'll be seeing me use, I'm gonna try to talk and explain a lot of the tools and ways and whys and what for I'm doing, why I'm doing it. But if you got any questions, throw them up there in that little chat, and I'll look over and see them. So or you can put them down in the bottom comments once this video is done. So right about now, I'm gonna take the thing into the other room. And over here, I got prepared some of the pieces that I done picked up some just junk. For this, come on the end of some packing roll. You know, it's an old piece of plastic. You know, these I picked up out of some trash somewhere. It's just a couple different sizes of round cardboard rings or whatever. And man, when I seen them, you know, it struck me as industrial complex and such. And I'm just so lucky that they're a little bit small, but once I glue them in there right, they're gonna fit right down in there like that, and they could be like big turbine stirrers, you know, or such that I got. Now, like I said, we're talking about this 40K one that I'm going to be doing, and I done cut out a small base that I'm going to be using for it. Actually, this is the one that's going to be used for the Sigmar build that I'm fixing to tell you about. We got to cut a one for the 40K. Here's another thing I picked up from a 40K, for the 40K, I mean, and it's just an old piece of trash, and I don't really even know what it was, but it's just a piece of plastic. Y'all see this stuff all the time, man. It looks space age, and you know, but it's the smaller the better usually. And I got that right there, and I'm gonna put certain, because you can see through them bars and all, I'm gonna put certain things up inside there. I might even, once I get it going on it, I might even rig it to where I have it to where I could put little lights down inside there, to where it's like an electrical station, and in the same way as that other, and you click underneath the base and it lights up. So I might get that rigged up. And another thing you're gonna need that I have a good bit of is just bits boxes. Now these are just terrain specific bits boxes that I got. Here's some old GW type stuff, plates, you know, pieces of metal, you know, things that barrels from GW that you can put in there. Here's some parts that come out of some old model airplanes and things like that. I got a whole another mess of them down in there. Another thing you're gonna need is some type of foam. Well, what I need, I mean, for this project. This foam here, this is just a chunk that you can use to gain elevations, to take up, you know, to raise up as a base, basically, for what you're going to do. Or you can chunk it off, and man, just the chunks, once painted, just chunked off with your fingers like this. I'm telling you, like that. Most of that terrain y'all saw in there, in that scattered terrain, there wasn't even real rocks on it. It was, you make some pretty convincing granite rocks out of them chunks that you just tear off with your fingernails from one of them pieces of foam. You need that. I also work with some air dry clay, you know, and this ain't essential, but for little details and things like that, like sandbags on one of these pits that I'm working on, you know, a gun pit, you know, and it's carved out of a piece of foam, a 3/4 inch piece of blue foam, and it's carved out. Then I done chopped up a bunch of pieces of that clay to make us sandbags. You know, these ain't done. All this stuff you're seeing is a work in progress, of course. And I'm just working on a bunch of stuff at one time, so that I can keep it going. And once I get down near the end on one of them, you know, I just finish them off. So here's the Sigmar one that I'm going to be fooling with. And like I said, I already got a plate cut out for it. I got the main elevation of it, the main hill, if you want, you know, that's going to sit here. You know, and this is going to be where I build up to get up onto the hill. I then took a toilet roll, and I already wrapped it in this foam, this 3mm foam called Dipron. And I already wrapped it in that and glued it. And we're going to cut it down because I don't believe I need it to be quite that tall for the ruins. It's going to be like a ruins of a castle. And why I wrapped it in this Dipron is this Dipron can be carved by sharp instruments. And I'm going to show you how to carve a stone pattern in there. Pretty easy, pretty quick. You know, I'll show you how to do it with the back end of old dull knives and stuff. If you ain't got a tool, that's what I'm using, the back end of an old knife. Here's that old second fireplace that I was talking about. There's going to be an entrance that I'm going to put probably somewhere over on the side here, you know, and then I'm going to build up right over here is where, like I said, I'm going to build up some kind of rockage steps where you can get up on top of here. Up in here is where I'm going to have some vegetation, some more rocks and stuff up into here. And like I said, this is going to be just a ruined tower or the remnants of a ruined tower. And I'm actually going to put a platform in there pretty easily that is going to allow a model to come in a doorway, of course, that you're going to carve in right there, and then be in there, you know, with a 2-inch move or whatnot, however tall the tower ends up being. So we're going to be working on that. I'm going to be talking about all the different several kind of glues that I'm using. You know, I guess this is equivalent to what y'all call PVA. This is or white glue. This is some wood glue, which would be kind of like called tight bond or something, but this is like industrial strength wood glue. Then you got over here hot glue that you plug in, you know, and I'm going to be showing you the different kind of the ways you use it. You're going to need also, you know, these types of terrain. I got a whole big box full of dirt and stuff, and I got a video earlier on called Pebble Hunt. Y'all can go watch and find out exactly where to go get that kind of dirt and stuff. And it's basically on the side of the road where it washes up toward drains on top of the asphalt, you know. Anyway, go watch that video and you'll know all about that. So I want to talk a little bit about bases and how you make these bases. Now here's an example of a piece like you saw in there. And I used to put stuff on, let's say it's 1/8 inch thick press board. I don't know what they're gonna call it over there. But this is very thin. You're thinking in your mind, well, you want thin, so you don't have to bevel so much and all, and it looks, you know, more flat and all. But the problem with these is this: any kind of wood product basically absorbs the moisture when you put any kind of glue down on it, man. Most any kind of glue. And when you go to glue almost anything on it, man, it contracts. It also contracts with the moisture in the air and the changes in humidity and things like that, and the age even. And so, man, it doesn't sit exactly flat. You see, look, this one sits from end to end. It doesn't sit flat, and it never will. You know, you can bend on them, you know, and try to keep it, but it never will sit completely flat ever. So, and, you know, once it starts to curl up, in the very middle of it is what is touching the board. Now, you could either take and sand it down. You know, you can go to sanding in the very middle of it. Try to sand the middle out so that it was flatter. That'd be a little fix you could do. But the problem with it, you know, if you don't do that fix, is you're knocking it around the board easily because it's spinning on an axis. You know, it's easy to spin, it's easy to not. So, and the more, if you are to flock a piece of thin wood like this, plywood, MDF, I've had a brain stoppage of what this stuff is called, but it's very thin, you know, press board type chipboard stuff. It's made MDF style. Um, but it curls up, man. If you put a bunch of glue on it, it curls up, especially if you flock it. So I've gone to using pieces of plexiglass. Now, not everybody's going to be able to get this old thick. This stuff here is a dang near 1/4 inch thick. I believe it's 3/16 thick plexiglass. But you can glue anything on this, and it's heavy. It gives a heavy weight to the terrain piece, whether it be the woods or any of those terrain pieces you saw in there that have the thick base like that. It got some weight to it, and it will not, and it stays completely flat there. It won't move no matter how much glue you put on it. So there's things you got to do to prepare a piece of plexiglass like that, and I'm going to show you because I got to cut out another piece out there. Some other things you might need. This is some thin foam called Depron, and it's probably going to be easier over there overseas to get. They discontinued it completely everywhere over here in the United States. I don't know why. I hope it doesn't give cancer and things like that, because I fool with it a good bit. Anyway, they sell it in the Netherlands. It's called Depron, and it is the best top hobby foam. I fooled with every kind there is under the sun. I promise you, man, because I've scratch built airplanes, RC airplanes and things, which that's this thing's main focus. But you can build all kind of things in the walls on. Now, if you ain't got this, or you ain't got the thicker version, which is 3mm Depron. I'm sorry, 6mm. This is the thick stuff. It's basically almost a 1/4 inch. If you ain't got that, well, down at Home Depot they got sheets of 1/4 inch Depron. And this is, it ain't Depron, it's 1/4 inch insulation. It'll come in a big blue stack. You probably have to throw down about $30 because you've got to buy the whole stack. They're not selling it by the sheet. You might find a hobby store somewhere that's still selling some kind of Depron or some kind of hobby foam just like this. Otherwise, you may have to do this. You can go down to any old kind of dollar store and buy some kind of foam board. They sell it in the poster board section of any dang drugstore like CVS, Eckerd's, any dang pharmacy store, any dang grocery store. Some even will sell this. It's got a foam core and it's got a paper outside. It's harder to work with. That's the only drawback from it. It's just harder to work with. It can be worked with. That's what this is made out of. That's what a lot of my stuff's made out of in there. But you work with what you got. If you can get that dang Depron, get it, because that's the top of the line. If you can't get plexiglass and stuff, well then you got to go with this thin stuff, and do the things that I talked about. Staying in the middle of the bottom when it warps out, or limiting how much flock you put on it, and using different styles of glue, like hot glue instead of a glue that uses moisture. You can hot glue these walls down fairly solidly, and it won't warp the board. But you go to put glue, if you go to put all this down, you can also use stuff like rubber cement, can be used to put stuff down, and then you're going to coat over the whole thing. But eventually, man, these are going to warp. So today I'm going to be talking about cutting out another one of these, and we're fixing to go outside and to a workshop and cut some of these out to get started on these projects right now. So if y'all will just follow me outside, we'll get started on that. Alrighty then. Over here, you see I have a big old piece of plexiglass. And like I said, about 3/16 thick. And I'm going to cut it up into the sizes, like I said, that we kind of need. Now I said we need 8 by 10, and that's a rough size. If you want to go 12 by 12, that's all right too. But I wouldn't go no bigger than that, unless you're building a whole section you're gonna put on the board. This is just talking about single terrain features, that if a squad's in them, they get covered, that kind of thing. So we're gonna cut out a couple pieces. You could do it with any kind of saw you want. You could do it with a handsaw if you're really into it. But I got a few tools that I'm gonna cut out with, and so I'm gonna go ahead and make a first cut around it. Now, the first things first, you gotta use safety glasses if you're gonna use any of these tools. You gotta use safety glasses. And I'm gonna cut a couple pieces here off. Just make it. See, I done cut a piece that's a little bit oversized because I'm going to come back and cut that bevel down with a jigsaw. Because these are so thick, you only want to cut a bevel out of it. Now, I believe I'm going to split this next one in half at about on a, let's see. Because I believe this is a bigger one I'm going to have for my industrial piece that I'm fixing to make for the 40K. I'm just going to split this other one in half while I'm cutting. And I got two rough. They're a little bit bigger than 8 by 10, but like I said, we're going to cut them down. Now we're going to go out here outside. Now, normally you'd leave this old plastic on here if you was building fancy cabinets for some rich people down in anyway. You'd leave that on. There, but you don't want to, because you're wanting to scratch this stuff up. Because if it's too slick, the glue ain't gonna want to take to it. So if it's got any kind of cover on it, we're taking that off. Now, like I said, these two right there, that's for later. Already got that one cut inside. I'm just gonna cut this one to show y'all how this one's done, and then I'm gonna go inside and start on them other ones. So this here is a saw that I ain't got plugged in. Now, if I just had a nickel for every time I had to unplug one tool and plug in the other tool, I'd be rich beyond belief. So, all right, this here jigsaw is what I'm going to use to cut the shape that I want of this. Now, you can take a magic marker, a Sharpie or whatnot, and draw out the shape. But I want this one roughly squarish. So, I'm just going to make some moves around here and to take off the edge. Now, the trick is this, and the reason I'm even recutting it to a different shape is this. This jigsaw will lay over. This plate will lay over to let me cut at an angle. And that cuts my bevel into my piece. So, let's see how good this thing new blade is cutting. Who's been fooling me? Might still have laid over, but it's still cut. see how I cut that bevel off. Cut that edge. Now I'm gonna just continue on around with this. And I'm just freecut right now. I'm not, I'm not trying to cut to a line or anything, but I'm trying to still, make it look not so straight. There, that's a nice side piece. I'm gonna clean that off for a little bit right there, I believe. I'm gonna try to get it. Clean that off a little bit. Now, you could take, at this stage, you could take a powered sander and clean him off, but them cuts from that brand new blade is pretty good. So I'm gonna look right here real quick and see if I have that power sander. If I don't, I'm just gonna do it by hand real quick. I do, I found a sander blade. All right, and what I do is just take the edge off a little bit. I'm not reshaping it in any kind of way. I'm knocking that flash off and knocking a sharp edge off of it. Working down underneath and knock the flash off. Any rough spots, any rough spots or any spots where it melted on a little bit, I hit those. Now that's pretty smooth. Now, what I want to do, I touch the bottom around the edge of the bottom to get it smooth. Knock off some melted stuff. Look for sharp spots like that. Okay, that's about all with the edges. Once you got the edges, now you need to rough up the top so it will receive good. And how you do that? We'll rough it up a little more on the inside with some rougher sandpaper that I have on the inside to make it a little rougher, but that's going to be the base. Ooh, can you see my hand? It's crazy. That's going to be the base for the Warhammer 40K terrain piece we're going to work on. All right, so come on. right, like I said, we're gonna rough this one up a little bit more. And I use a lot of these. It's a disc sandpaper. It's got an adhesive back. You pull it off, adhesive. It's made for round sanders that you adhere it to, sand for a while, peel it off. I use them, peel them off, stick them on a block of wood. That allows you to sand flat. Instead of just this, you're pressing down with your fingertip. Yeah. And which would be okay for this. Yeah. After I'm pressing on my knuckles, I want to rough it up. So it'll take the glue. Alright, got that one. What was that second? I'll make sure this was roughed up the same kind of way. And I'm not using real fine sandpaper. I believe I'm using 120 grit sandpaper just to get it rough. Now it's ideal to just blow these off. I'm just gonna have to wipe them off. I let them blow outside and I ain't dragging it dang camera back outside again. So okay, we're going to get started first on this one with the layout and what we're going to do, how we're going to put the pieces on it, and how we're going to glue them on. So, like I said first, I got these two towers that I need to put somewhere on the layout. And I found this one here, right? Found this one, and then I found this cap. They can cap it off. You can either make it a platform that people can get on top of, or you could place other technological stuff on top of it, like it's a radar dishes and stuff like that. But anyway, it's a cap for this. So what I'm gonna first do is I am gonna glue that on. I'm gonna use a little white glue, I guess, to glue that on. Let me see. Would be best. Maybe just super glue, to tell you the truth. Super glue that I've been using, my regular super glue, to glue non-foam, is this here Gorilla Glue super glue. It ain't the gel version, I don't believe. It's just the regular, super glue, but not the thin. It's been fairly good to me. I can get it open. Oh, there it goes. I'm just going to put a thin line of super glue on the top. Probably should have done the edge to cover that. Fix it. And take that cap, because it's a really tight fit. That's one reason I'm using super glue, because I don't need to make up any distance or gaps. It's a very tight fit, so it's on there. So these are going to be too loose for that super glue. They don't quite fit tight enough. So I'm going to have to use something that eats up the gaps. Now, I could use epoxy. Could use this 5-minute epoxy. I believe even this would work. I believe even the PVA would work. But because this is some of the plastic, and a lot of times, man, you can have a hard time gluing plastic to stuff, especially with PVA, man, because it just won't stick to it. It just beads on it. It dries on it, but it'll let it go. And so what I think I'm going to use, I believe I'm going to try hot glue. And I'm going to run a bead of hot glue around the bottom of these, and then I'm going to set them into here. So let me see if that hot glue is ready. I believe it is. Oh, yeah. So, I got a hot glue gun here. I'm going to run a bead around here, right under the lip. And then I'm going to put it down in, wiggle it around, get that hot glue to stick. Yeah, I'm going to let it sit. I'm going to do the same thing for the other one, because I have another one for the other side, so it'll be a double. I envision it as like, one of them, for lack of a better word, shit stirrers. It's just stirring up, it's a big turbine or a turbine, this exhaust and big, could be that. If I get this one, I wiggle it around in there so that glue gets stuck. It's taking up the gaps. And once that dries, it'll dry hard. Okay, so we got 3 pieces assembled. And I was going to put one more piece on there. This electrical station. Now, where do we want this in the layout? Now, like I said, you got to start thinking about, and maybe even use models on there to see where you want your layout from. Okay, I'm gonna put that there. These 2 here, because they're gonna have hoses and stuff coming in between them. And I'm also, gonna have debris and stuff laying on the ground, all over here. So, where this electrical box go? How about there? All right, as you can see, it ain't board ready yet. It's got some things on it, so we're gonna clip off the edge. Try to get it down to where it's flatter before we have to resort to cutting it with a knife. All right, here's another thing I do. If you look over here, them same adhesive discs that I use to sand with, that I use to wrap around blocks to sand flat with, I use on sanders. I stick a couple different grits straight down there to my desk. So that way, if I want to sand something flat, I don't want to hold the piece. That just took all the little nubs. Now we get having to get down there with a knife. Dang it, stinks. That took all the nubs off there. So I don't want to quite put this electrical box down and mount it yet. It's going to stay off there. I just want to get the position of it. It's going to stay off because I believe I'm going to put some sort of lights or something up under there. So I just need the outline of it, of where it's going to go. So I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to draw where I want the outline of that one to go. I believe I put it there. Let's see, I'm going to use a 25 millimeter base to check. I should use a 32. Let's use a 32 to check, to see. Because I would want to put some, I'm going to put some broken stuff here. Maybe a model needs to be able to get between. That's another thing, man. You should always do when you're doing a layout on a piece of terrain like this, man. You need to have a couple models with some 25s, have a model with 32. You should even have a 40 around that you can use. You have a 40 around that you can use to see, you know, because I don't know what about the ruling is. I mean, but he can get through there. Right? Even though he's got a 40 millimeter base, it wouldn't fit through there. Karn is the same size as a regular Space Marine. A regular Space Marine can be on a 25 millimeter base. So you kind of got to look and see how far apart you want to put them. You know, and I would use the 40 millimeter base if you want to spread them all the way apart. But you know, these, I want people to be able to run through them. But like I said, this is, you know, they've abstracted terrain so much that it doesn't matter who's hiding. Unless you're going to use, you can use this, I guess, for if you're playing a more terrain specific games. You know, this could go with Armageddon, you know, the new Necromunda and stuff like that. But, and that's another reason you want to pay attention to how big, you know, where the placement of models would be during a game before you even glue it down. So I'm going to do it about like this, spread it. I'm going to have pieces of debris spread all out here. I'm going to put these here with a gap in between so a model people can go in between them. I don't want to block the movement too much into this. I want people to want to come here. You know, it still will block a lot of line of sight because of the angle. You know, if it's being line of sight and going through it at any kind of angle, it'll still block. So I'm gonna put it down. I think that's how I'm gonna run it. So first thing I want to do is put the first piece down. Well, actually, I can't do that yet because I need to prepare these pieces. And by prepare, I mean cut the Depron out. So first thing I need to do is sharpen this thing in pencil. Okay. Now I'm gonna turn over to here to where I have a cutting. It ain't really a cutting mat, but it's what I'm gonna cut on, so I don't ruin too much stuff underneath. Let me get rid of these. Get a piece of 3 millimeter Depron. Get a straight edge cut with. Need my knife over here. But I'm going to have to sharpen it up. You know, and I got a knife, hobby knife. But I'm down to my last brand new blade. I normally would use a brand new blade on the Depron. But I believe that I am out. I'm out of blades right now. So I'm going to have to sharpen this one on a stone right here. It'll be sharp enough so it won't drag and cut. If you don't cut that Depron with a sharp knife, it will drag it and cut it ragged. You gotta have it sharp. So I'm sharpening this blade up. It's the old X-Acto knife blade. Sharpening it up. So we'll cut that stuff clean, hopefully. Alright, so now we're gonna make some cuts in this Depron. Need my pencil. I'm gonna need one of these. Alright. Yeah. Okay. Okay, get it. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Okay then. Okay. Alright, so what I do is I take this and I need to measure how much I need to cut off. So I'll take that and put it there. Draw me a line here. I'll move it down a little ways. Draw me a line there. Down a little more if I want to cut, because I'm going to cut it for both of them. So I'm probably going to cut this one all the way down. Alright, let me find me something to cut with. It's going to be a little better than that short. Put that to the side. I'm going to use this as a straight edge. Put it on my lines. And I'm going to cut. Lay the straight edge down. Now, at first, because I got this dull knife, I ain't going all the way through. I'm just kind of cutting partially the way through. Now you hear it hitting the wood. Now it came through. So that should be enough. I'm going to continue it on. Let's line my line back up like this. And continue to cut all the way through. Ready to drag a little bit at the end there, but anyway, got that one cut. So now we're going to see how much of it. Roll it, roll it, roll it, right there. And where to put the pencil? Get a mark right here. It's all the way around. Then we take a square, which is this. We're going to cut this across, just like that. We're going to check it real quick. Maybe a hair long. Yep. It's a hair long. So I'm going to trim it. I'm putting it back up under there. And I'm going to trim just, man, 30-second off of it, I believe, would do it. So I use that to skim that off. Let's check it again, see if it goes around. That's a lot better. Now, I'm going to duplicate that because I got two of them. So lay it down. Make sure the edges are even. I found my pencil. Make a mark across. This one up under my straight edge. Okay, let's cut. Check it. It works. So why do we want to wrap it with this Depth-N and not just paint the outside of this toilet paper roll thing? Because in the manufacturing of these, they put this line. This is how this thing is made, in a spiral. And that line gives it away as a piece of toilet paper roll, man, and it's not in scale, and it doesn't look. You could, in a pinch, you could do it, man. It needs to be coated with something. So you could coat it with some type of something, maybe give it a concrete-y look, like I did those coffee cans in there. But I'm going to show a different thing. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do panels that you carve in with these, and that way you can make it rust, and it's just going to look better. So we got our tooth cut. Now, how are we going to attach them to here? The first thing is this. You got to have some. You got to have some of these. You got to have some super glue that's foam safe, and it's very expensive. And you got to chop off your own tip on these. So I may need to get some glasses. Let's see how much we put out. We're going to put a line. Oh, yeah, that's good. We'll put a line straight down like that. And then we attach one edge. And making sure it's straight. Like that. Roll it along to make sure it's straight. But you want to hold it down. You want to try not to get super glue all over your fingers and then all over the outside, but don't worry, because you're making a rustic industrial thing. If you get some glue on the outside and get it a little sticky, and we're not making something that's pristine, it's going to look like rust. We're going to be even adding rust and type stuff, texture when we were painting it and all. So a little bit of messiness isn't a bad thing. So once you get that part to dry, rubbing the edge, and once that edge is on it, then you come back here, and I'm gonna put some all on here. I'm gonna go along the edges. About that much. Then I'm gonna roll it till it collapses all the way in and lines up. Gotta make sure it's lined up now and not walking off. Once it's lined up, you get it in and press it down. That edge, that seam, is you're going to add seams to it, no. But you're just adding another layer outside that you can carve on, to carve them seams onto. So, And hold it just for a minute. You know, this foam safe stuff, you can feel the warmth of it. Yeah. As it's doing its thing in there, but it won't eat the, if you use regular super glue on this foam, it will eat it up. On the blue foam, the pink foam, the black foam, white foam, any of that foam, regular super glue will eat it up. You have to go down to a hobby store. Hobby Lobby, Hobby Town USA. I don't know if Hobby Lobby even has this stuff, but it's got to be foam safe super glue is what it's got to even say. So we got that added to it. May need to add some hot glue. I believe we did. We're going to add a little bit of hot glue down in here. Hold it together. Okay, now we're going to do the next one the same way. I'm going to take a line of super glue, put it along here. We're going to line this up straight. Hold it together. Now, once it's dry, we'll come back. We'll roll it up, keeping it straight. Keeping it straight as we can. Roll up to the end. That's that seam. So they come together and hold that together. And with this foam safe stuff, it doesn't take but just a very few minutes. Not even a minute. And you could let go of it. I'll hold it for a second to be sure. All right, you got that one. Now, we got to do one more part. And it's down here. I believe we're going to get away with not cutting out for that one. We're going to leave out. But we do need to do is scuff this up a little bit, this plastic. Because, I don't know, we're using that high dollar primer, so it should be okay. So for now, I'm going to put away this type of glue. And I believe I'm going to break back out with either some hot glue or some epoxy to put them things down. Okay, we're going to get ready to glue these down where they are. Yeah. Once again, I'm going to draw, now that we've got this on, I'm We're going to draw out where we want them. Wrong spot. I wanted about that. So let's mark that out like that. Everything's going to be covered up. So I'm going to redraw my circle where I want it down. With the pencil. My electrical outlets need to be here. And I want my radar station to be moving in a little bit. So I'm using a 25mm base with my settings. Okay, right there. Okay, I'm going to use hot glue again. I'm going to put a bead around the base of this. And pop it right down there. Just like that, and hold it. Okay, once that's in there, yeah, we really need to go ahead and carve these. So I'm gonna find an old knife blade. Here we go. And I'm gonna take over here on my sandpaper, and with the cutting side up, I'm gonna drag across and blunt the blade. So there's not a, it's a point, but it's not a point. It's coming to a point, but it's now it's a blunt it. So first thing I'm going to do is take that square that I had, and I'm going to run up a couple of lines, and they don't have to be, you can also do that. You could do this with a pencil if you want. I mean, watch this. I'm going to do it with the pencil. Run the line down. You don't have to go all the way to the top on every single one because we're going to go around like this. Just go to varying heights with the, make sure it's square. So we'll run them up here because it's going to be, we're making panels, irregular panels. There. Make another panel down here. Okay, we just about got it. Let's get one more going here. lines, you see I've made, irregular lines coming from either side on the up and down. None of them go all the way to the top and bottom. Only the seam where the thing's blue. So we only have one going completely top and bottom. So I'm gonna do the same thing over on this one. Take my square, put it at the bottom. And run a line. Along there. You don't have to completely alternate, so you can go in the same direction a couple times in a row. Like coming from the top a couple times. You don't have to come from the top and then come from the bottom and then come from the top. Just make sure they're different lengths. Okay, that's looking good. So now, we have this one done the same way. We have this one done the same way. And come from the top and the bottom, alternating, or not always alternating, but that's the up and down panel lines. Now, when you take a piece of cardboard, like a cereal box style. Any count. All right, we're going to use this as our straight edges. Any of these edges, even straight down on this. That's going to be our straight edge, and we'll mark it. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this across, using this as a reference if I'm straight. And I'm going to connect. I find the ends of those that I drew, and I draw a panel line across. All right, that's the first thing to do. Find the ends of however long it was, and draw a panel there. All right, keep going across. And then I have them connected up. Now, going against the solid ones, the one that goes all the way across, you can just split that in the middle and you'll have two panels. And any of them that look too wide, or that are wider than an inch or so, you can split them up by drawing a line across, and you got the panels. Now, if you make a mistake, like I just did, don't worry, because we can cover that up with a lot of corrosion and gunk and leakage even. You know what I mean? That can be a spot where it's leaking and it won't notice how off that line is. But like I said, you try to use this as a guide to keep your lines straight. So you might need to add a couple more up and down lines. That one got off. To separate some of the panels. Okay, and this one's almost done. All right, it's got most of the panels done. We're going to switch over to this one and run its panel lines, the horizontal ones. right, now we pretty much run them all across again. And this one came out a little bit better. And you come out with almost like a Tetris looking thing a little bit. Now, you can go and buy individual bolts and things to go on here to show where how it's connected together and all. I have used some stuff in the past that's might be in some of my bit boxes here. Yeah, here we go. Now these are like little sticker things that they sell up in the Hobby Lobby and all. And it's like not glitter, but they're like little gemstones. This was a frog at one point, and you can peel off these tiny little gemstones and tack them down with glue, and it will look like an exposed bolt. But I got too many of them to do that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the pencil, come off the corner, and give it a push. Everywhere I want a bolt, on almost every corner. You know, these things are going to have to be held together some way. And these are simulating rivets. So one of the things is you want to put them across from each other. That gives it a uniform look. Okay, I don't know, can you see how holes are going down there? See? So I'm gonna continue on with it doesn't have to be completely uniform spacing, but like I said, the two a lot of times it's best to put them across from each other. There's okay, if you can see out there how I've doubled up. I've always got them across from each other. You know, even if it has to, like I said, double up on the line, like there, where it looks like looks like you doubled up, but on the longer line down there. But it's because you need to put one in the corners. You need to put one across from any ones that you have. So that's the two criteria. You put them in the corners of everywhere. Of every box has one that's just off the corner. And then you have to place them exactly opposite. And you do your spacings along your regular lines. Just push in with the pencil, and that's the beauty of this Depron. That's why I go through all the trouble of wrapping the thing with the Depron. Is so you can just use a pencil or that backside of that knife and just press in and just making. You're just kind of carving into it almost. One in the corner, cross, middle. Almost done with this one. Just need a couple more here. Work my way across and it'll be done. Yep, that one's done. And as you can see, I just pressed in with that pencil to get those simulated rivets. All right. Now I need to go along the top too, because it would have had to been put together at the top. On the bottom, I don't have to put the rivets because it's going to be covered a little bit by a little bit of a terrain that goes around it. So that one's ready to be glued down. And I'm going to go ahead and really quickly dot this one up. Do my corners. Across from them. On the corners. Tops. Corners. And see if you just follow those things, you know, if you do corners and then do across from them and then fill in the lines, you know, you stay with that pattern. It's pretty easy. You don't have to be exacting, but you want it to look like it's across from them. Almost done with this one now. I'm getting a little wild with them. When you're doing repetitive things like this, you know, you need to maintain concentration. And sometimes it's hard. Your mind starts to wonder because you're starting to think about what the next step is, or you're just thinking about other things, you know, not even what you're doing. But I believe that one's all done. You finish off that top right there. And that will do it. Now they're ready to glue down, and I'm going to hot glue them down as well. Okay, I'll take the first one. Blast it with some hot glue. Feed the beast some more hot glue. We're putting a little on the inside to make sure it was still going to stick that plastic piece that we put in earlier with it. Be fair gap. All right, got the hot glue on him. We'll stick him down on his spot. Okay, I'm going to get the other one. Same deal. Stick him down on his spot. All right. Like I said, with this one, we're going to leave it off. But we have its spot drawn on there. You need to actually draw it on a little better so that when you go draw it on with a marker so I don't accidentally put too much gunk around it. Alright. So these three are down. This is marked where it's going to go. As you can see, man, that hot glue, once it dries on, man, it ain't coming off for nothing. I mean, you're going to destroy the piece before you get it off. And the good thing is it's immediate drying. It's dry right now. This one came out on me, so I'm going to need to actually add some hot glue to the top because it's a pretty decent gap there. And another thing about hot glue, man, it's not messy. You know, these strings may seem messy, but you can just pull them away, man. It's not that big of a deal, and they're not wet. That's the thing. All right, so we got that part made up. Now we need to do two things. We need to mix up our dirt, and we need to select some pieces that are going to go on here. They'll be embedded in the dirt. I'm talking about debris. You know, how much pieces of rocks do we want to, you know, this is going to be, you know, semi-damaged. You know, I'm not putting any battle damage into these besides, you know, it's going to have chipped paint and stuff. But I am going to have debris like pieces of vehicles and things like that put on it. So the first thing we need to do is select those pieces. So I drag out some stuff. Do we want a barrel? Yeah, can't go wrong with a barrel. That says GW all the time. We got the barrel. I think this probably wants 2 barrels. Don't need that tank trap stuff. This would be a good hatch part for the top here to make it look more like a building. This thing here is kind of rounded. It came off some jet engine. If I cut that piece off the bottom, I slap that into the side of this as kind of a control panel. Okay, so I definitely want to keep that out. Ooh, these are sweet. These are glow plugs out of a model racing engines, and they are going to be excellent for things on top of my. I'm going to glue them up on top of this here. See, it's some kind of array. I think I got more than a couple of them. I've been waiting for something like this to use them all. Oops. All right, but yeah, I can put something in there. That'll be good. So I can make some kind of array with them. That's sweet too. Some kind of vent. I'm going to use that. There's another little control panel I think I'm going to use. They came off of something. Any more of those? All right, let's try that. Here's another curved control panel, just like this one I'm going to use on the other one. Here's actually some other curved ones that can give it some flavor. It's a GW box, I believe. Use that. This is what the lid to this is. So I don't know. I'm saying that, not for this one. We definitely might need some of that pipe that has a corrugation to it. So I'm definitely gonna use some of this pipe. What else got in this dip box? A little bit more of that same pipe. And terrain dip box. Hatches, doorways. It's a doorway. Well, we should have put it on the side of one of these. We still could. I'm keeping that out. These are some vent hatches. Yeah, we need those. This is some 40K stuff from the Armageddon. We might could use one of these. Could we use one of these somewhere? As detriment. As debris. Slim pickings in this box. That's some more of that. Here's some more of these stickers I was talking about earlier. They can you just peel off and use as a large bolt head. You know, we still may use some of them and keep them out. Alright, one more box to look through to see if we can get some parts. It's going to be good for them new Nurgles, ain't it? But that looks to go with this type of stuff. It's an old fuel filter off old model car. That looks to go with this. We could have a pipe coming and blowing up out the ground. Yeah, there's some decent stuff in here. This looks like a good vent. They might have some more control panels and stuff. There's one. There's one control panel. I'd like to have a couple more. That's a pretty good vent pipe. I'm gathering all up at once, man, because of the varying types of material I got here. You know, I don't think. It's going to have to be put on with different type of glues. We'll see. All out of here. Pinball. All right, we're gonna go with this stuff to start with. That's about all we need for right now. Now, like I was talking about earlier about that phone, we're gonna use some of this foam that we're gonna break off right here and now with our hands to make little rubble rocks. This is great for this. It simulates these little granite rocks perfectly. And then you add in real rocks, mixed with it, glued in over it. It is just, it's outstanding. Looks real. So we're making some rubble. It looks like rubble from buildings we can use and stuff. We're going to use along the edge of this base to where we pile up debris and stuff. All right, that's about a little bit of a pile that we're going to need. So I got to switch gears and move the camera over because we're going to be doing a different, we need to mix up what we're going to use as our dirt and stuff over here. And we're going to get that going. First of all, I think we can glue this door. We put it to the sanding block. Maybe a little flat. Get with a little bit of raised detail on it. Clean the flash off. A regular time. And we can put it over here. We need to find a spot where the panel's tall enough to make it look real. And we got a spot over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press it in to the foam so that I got the shape of the door. Alright, press into the foam. Now I'm going to come back with my knife and I'm going to cut out the shape of that door in the foam. Okay, I'll cut that foam out. Take that foam off of there where the door would sit. And be recessed in a little bit. That'll make it, because the door's not curved like it should be if it was really the real door for this. So I've got to recess it in there so it'll take up a little bit of that curve. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have been showing you what I was doing. I'm cutting out that door in the foam, in the black foam, so I could set this door into the hole. And it looks like I gotta cut a little bit more out so it will set. Maybe. Yeah, just a little bit. I need to mark it with my knife where I need to cut out. It's right at where the hinges are. So I'm going to get them out. Clean out where I need to go. Where I saw that it was cutting too tight. Now, get my door glued in. I'm going to use some super glue. Put my door on. All right, now we need to take some, we're going to put this at. Just spread it down. Just move the back off of it. We're going to find a spot right there. It will. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to press it in. Upside down where I got the ring. Pressing in. Give me the shape of this inside of that. So you press it in. You get that circle. Now I need to sharpen my knife up a little bit more. gonna cut that ring out. Okay, now I got that hole cut in there. I'm going to put a little super glue in. Because I'm not gluing to the foam, I'm gluing to that cardboard roll. I can use regular super glue. I'm gluing to a plastic piece. Put him in there with the skull facing up or whatever. See, now I'm starting to look Warhammer because you got them Warhammer type pieces in it. That's set. That door's set in. Shut that super glue up. All right, how long we been going? Hang on 1 second, y'all. Now I got these control panels. I need to find a spot to put up there. So, hang on 1 second, I'm gonna go get a tool. All right, I'm gonna be using this Dremel tool to clean out just a little bit of this plastic before I'm gonna glue this control panel to the side of it. So I want to use some glasses because it won't blow hot. These things are known to fling off hot plastic once it starts grinding in. I'm gonna use some glasses. I'm gonna cut it down. Clean out everything in the middle. gonna do it to the other one I have. Yeah, I'm just using a Dremel with a small sanding disc. I'll find me a spot over here. It looks good. Clean off the rest of the flash with a knife. A little bit too rounded. Taking corners off. Still a little bit rounded. Okay, we'll put it right there. We'll do the same thing, we'll press it in. Get the outline of it. Take it out. I'm gonna cut the foam away. So it recesses that piece of plastic so it doesn't look like it's a piece of plastic that you glue up on top of it. Cut that out. Chip the foam out of the middle. Okay, we got that. Fits nice. Straighten it up a little. Okay, once again, we can use regular super glue since we're not gluing to the foam. Some super glue in there. Put the control panel in. Level it out some. There we go. Okay, see what's stuck in there? It looks like it's made into it. See, it doesn't look like just a piece of plastic stuck on the outside. That's part of the reason I go to all the trouble of putting that in. The depth running off. Now, where's my other control panel? Take and put it, guess on the outside down here. Put it here. Okay, once again, I take it. I'm going to take a little bit of the roundness off of this one again. It's a little bit more curved, a little bit more extreme radius than this. Now I'm going to press this, put this in down where I want it. I'm going to press it into the foam, rock it back and forth. Okay, then I got the imprint of it. I'm going to take the knife. I'm going to cut the foam out. Now, foam's only 3 millimeter thick, Depron. And so it allows that piece to sit in there so it doesn't look like it's just a piece glued to the outside. That's important. This is a trick you use to
glue things together or make it look like they're together when it's, you know, something industrial. It's man-made. That, you know, when you're doing bushes and trees and all, you can always use vegetation or the natural things to cover up mistakes and fill gaps and all. Once again, you can use regular super glue because we're going inside the to the paper roll, which was the inside, which formed the basis of this Depron. Then we take the control panel, set it inside, push it down. Hold it. Let it dry for a second. So far we constructed these and this, glued them all down. We've gathered up some pieces that we've made of rocks, gathered up some debris that we're going to put on the ground. Some barrels. Now we need to mix up our ground cover, what we're going to use as the dirt and what's going to glue all this mess together. So you turn the camera. Now what I'm using for ground cover is this stuff right here called Clay. I've been using this a very long time. Very long time. You can buy this from, I guess it's got to be a specialty hobby store. Or, I mean, Hobby might even have this stuff. But what it is, it's basically instant paper mache, just like it says. It's really ground up fine, gray paper mache looking stuff. And it is gray when you mix it and it dries to a white. Now the drawbacks to this is it takes a day or more to dry if you put it on thick. But we're not putting on real thick, and it ain't gonna dry within this video. But you know, we're gonna get the last part of this video. Of course, is gonna be us putting this down and putting the last parts in on this terrain piece. Now you see how it's kind of a fluffy, very fluffy stuff. And so for our purposes, we're only going to need, we're not building on a big hill or anything. We need about, you know, half a cup. Very dusty stuff. So we may want to not close it completely. We may have to, actually, you know, we probably shouldn't close it at all because we may have to add some if we make it too thick. So the first thing you need to add to it is just a drop of dishwashing liquid, any kind of dishwashing liquid. There you go. That's it. I put too much actually, but you just need a drop or two. Now the next thing I put in it, this ain't in the directions on here, but I put a big old glop of glue in it. Big old flop of glue. Because that helps to make it stickier and just makes it a lot more. I guess it's made for model trains and stuff. It's going to give it durability by putting all that glue in there. Then take some water. Put in there. Now at this point, I probably want to start stirring it up so I can watch the consistency of it. You want to make it into like a pudding consistency. Hang on, y'all. Let this sit for just a second. All right. So I'm almost there with the mix. I'm a little thick right now, so keep adding a touch of water. If I go too far, I can throw a little bit more of that in, which is usually the case. I usually don't have it mixed up just good on the first try. But get it mixed. It's going to mix to a goo. I'm trying to think of a food. Guacamole, I guess, man, is as close as I can get to what it's the consistency. It's just a goo like this. All right. So we got this. We need a couple more things to get started. Let me go ahead and close this bag up. All right, we got some of our rocks, got some of our pieces here. I'm thinking we need a couple of more pipe pieces. And we're going to need them coming up out of the ground. So you have to put them in here with this groundwork. When we do, I'm going to take a few of these pipes here, and I'm going to just chop them off with a saw. Got a little miter box here. I can put it in and chop these all off. Well, a couple of different lengths, I guess. I don't need it too long. Sticking up too much. Woo! There you go. Now, we got a few different sizes. Maybe a couple more of them small ones. These in order. Sure like that. A couple more of them small pipes. Now, we're just about ready. Now we take some of our goo. Flop it out. Work it kind of like clay. It doesn't go over everywhere. It's just where we're going to embed pieces like this. See, they're not glued in, they're embedded in to this dirt because, they get exposed. Even if they've just recently fell on top of it, dirt and stuff is blown on top of it, debris. We're going to have a little pipe right there. Get that in. We're going to get a little more goo. Go around the outside of the pipe. We're staying off of our bevel out there. We're just going to paint the bevel a dark brown. We're going to keep the terrain off of the bevel, like a base on a model. Wrap that in. A little more goo around here. We'll have one of these barrels. Sticking up like that. I'm going to add the other barrel right next to it. It's good. Sometimes it's good to pair two types of terrains like that. There would be a reason there would be two barrels. You know, they would have consolidated them because they're going to move them out of there or something. Let's put some more rocks, debris rocks right up in there. Like I say, push them down into the gray stuff and they'll dry there. And I got all that glue embedded in that gray. It's going to really grab these. Boy, I got it sticky. Really sticky. That's good though, because it's going to stick to this base. When it dries, it'll be hard as woodpecker lips. You know, that's a good thing. All right, so we can press a little bit up against the bottom there. Work that gray in. Put these, let's get us a pipe here that was supposed to be coming up out of the ground. It broke. Something like that. Let's get another one of these on the back side of it, like that. Be like a pipe that's been exposed. We're gonna run some little goo coming out of the pipe. Actually, let's pick it up out of the ground a little bit. Let's get it underneath a piece of this. There we go. Now we can drip it down a little bit. When we go to paint, put Nurgle's rod or something dripping out of it. Okay, let's get another small rock over here. All right, let's move it on around. Some more goo. Working around, don't get in the way if we're going to make that electrical thing later. The electrical box. I believe I'm going to put some lights in that too to make it light up. Again, like I said, staying off that edge, keeping that edge wiped off that bevel. Now you really need a couple paper towels on hand that I don't have, or something to clean your hands off, but I'm just going to have to make do. One coming out here. One coming out here. They were together. Put some goo up in there. They're coming out of the ground. I'm going to add rocks. Tear my rocks up if I need smaller ones. I mean, when these get dry brushed, they look just like a piece of granite. Piece of granite or some, you know, buildings are built out of concrete. It's just like it. So we got a bunch of rocks there. We're going to put a little debris up in here. We're moving around. A little debris here. We don't want to take up, you got to have space for some models on here. But, you know, you also want, the better it looks like there's some cover on there, the better it's believable that the models on the plane have some cover. Let's go there. Pull it straight up out the ground. Yeah, I need to wash off a little bit and give me some paper towels. All right, I got a couple more little things that we can throw in there, and a couple more rocks. Let's use up some more of this goo over here. Get those embedded in it. Rockage. And don't be afraid to push some up against, you know, some of the buildings like that where debris would have stacked up. You know, if it fell from something, it's going to stack up towards and lay up against things like that. Remember too, the gray part gets a whole nother layer of dirt once it's dried. It gets glue and dirt. We're going to show that in the next video. And that could even come up tomorrow because I'm not going to do these on a schedule. I don't think these terrain ones on a schedule. I'm just going to, when I got to do them, I'm going to turn it on. So let's put a little bit more debris here because it's a barren area. Get some more of that tumbled down stuff. And like I said, the rocks and all, the little pebbles, the little dirt looking thing, that's going to get added after this dries. This is to give it some texture, give it some thickness. There we go. All right, we'll do a little bit more here, which piled up a little bit against there. That might do it for this for a minute. Get these in. Pipe. And a couple more of these. Oh yeah, that looks good. Alright. So let me find a couple more little things to stick in this gray. Ooh, I found something. This looks important. And I'm going to put it down here in the middle to where it can be almost like an objective if you'd want. It's like a canister that's been thrown down there. Oh yeah. I'm going to put it in some dirt so it looks like it's been laying there. And we're crashing down into there. So there you go. Oh yeah. The canister. All right, one more little rock, and then we'll call this one done for the moment. All right, I believe that's done. Now you see what we got going on. We have a little area. Of course, none of this restricts movement of your models getting in. But all this is going to block line of sight pretty considerable from units on the board. We haven't added no ladders and things as such. Now, it's going to take about a day for this gray stuff to dry. But I'm telling you, when it dries, it looks just like dirt. Just like dirt. And we'll add a few pebbles and rocks to give it a little bit of rocky texture, because that's what it does lack. It just looks like dirt. There's no rocks at all in it. So we'll add a little bit of that later on with some white glue tomorrow. And hopefully we can get this thing turned back on, maybe even tomorrow, and get it going for y'all again. So, here. All right. I believe that's going to be all for the show. Ain't no fancy singing and dancing and guitar playing on this one. So, come back for the next show on terrain building, because we're going to keep doing these live terrain builds. I'm going to be getting to that Sigmar one that I'm talking about, but I got so many phone calls and people want me to go build chicken houses and such. Right now, I got to get off the horns and off the internets right now. But for right now, I think this is going to be fine. It's going to be good for right now. We're going to let this dry up. And I hope to see y'all next time. And thanks for watching. If I can get this dang thing shut off.